Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show, where we take a look at how you approach your work and personal life and how we can make the most out of both of them. A weekly get-together where we get real about self-improvement and development as we all make this not-so-easy journey through life. Our discussions will cover ideas and concepts from how to grow your career to how to lead your family towards prosperity and happiness. We don't pretend to know it all, and the doctor is the first to be vulnerable, discussing his own weaknesses, both past and present. This is about growing together and having some fun while we discuss what is happening in the crazy world we live in and how to make the most of it. Let's strive for awesome together. Let's get after it. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Leadership time. Hope you're having an awesome day. I am having one. Preparing to head to the European continent on Sunday. This episode, that'll actually be 3 days ago when this episode drops next week. And very excited. The world's largest show for my industry, which happens every 4 years, Drupa, D-R-U-P-A, is happening. And very excited about it. First of all, going to see a lot of friends, a lot of people I work with on a weekly, even sometimes daily basis in Asia and Europe. There'll be people from all over the world. We're expecting almost 225,000 people to attend. Rico got a huge, awesome booth. Check it out online. It's the cat's meow. There's some people with more space, and I tease and say it's because they've got a lot of equipment left in the warehouses. All our stuff's been sold. Big shout out to the team. But the show's going to be an awesome one. Very, very excited about that. I hope you've been enjoying the episodes. I just loaded up for the members the Jane Fraser interview, both a personal and business accounting firm. She is the managing member of Scharf Para PLLC out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I've known Jane a long time. Check her out on the membership. That episode will come out shortly and kind of round out this month-long party we've been having around personal finances. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we talked about Charlie Munger, who passed away, which is Berkshire Hathaway's second right-hand man or second leader. Warren Buffett's right-hand man, been together for 50 years. Unbelievable financial mind. And we did a whole episode on what's your financial future's magic number. And that came from Charlie talking about do whatever you can, in his comments from 1996, to get $100,000 saved. Today, that number is probably $200,000. And that sounds like a lot of money for a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old or even a 35-year-old. As you're popping $5, $6, $7, $8, $10, $12, $15, $20,000 away a year through your 401k or a Roth or whatever. But if you get that put away, then the power of compounding interest will help you. Then we also did the episode on your future. This was last week's episode. Your future requires you to understand and participate in delayed gratification. The keeping up with the Joneses, the trying to look well off and wealthy is going to be your downfall. It's okay to not eat at Ruth's Chris when you go out with friends. It's okay to go to Applebee's. It's okay to go to Friday's Great Restaurants, spend a lot of time at the bar in those restaurants on the road for decades. It is not okay to use a credit card to create a falsehood, to put on Facebook and Instascam to show people how awesome you are. Don't worry, they don't care about you. Concentrate on your future. So that delayed gratification was last week. This week, we're talking about what is the finance plan for wealth building. How do you kind of go about it? I'm just going to do quick hits today. I'm going to pull it together, a couple things you need to do around finances to make sure you're saving for the future. This in no way is a complete list. This also in no way is presenting me, Dr. Leadership, as a financial advisor. You need to hire or get involved with. Many times it doesn't cost you any money unless you're making money if you pick a good one. I happen to use RBC. Jim Brown, big shout out. Awesome financial planner. Been with him for over a decade and has helped me and my wife build a tremendous amount of wealth. And it's because of consistency and dedication, not because of how much money we necessarily make or don't make. No one retires on a salary because the salary ain't there when you retire to begin with. You got to do all the right stuff or a large portion of the right stuff all along the journey to make sure that you're financially set for the future. So what are some of those things that you need to do? We're going to talk about that. So as I said, the last couple episodes, we've spoken of the importance of savings, prolonging that gratification. Today, I'm simply going to point out the strategies we all can take, no matter what the income level is, to ensure that journey towards financial freedom is successful. So the first one I'm going to talk about as quickly as a parent, and then I'm going to talk about as an individual after the kids stuff is kind of taken care of. And I'm not saying set it up in this order. Typically, you're working a job before you have children falling into your life. Sometimes that doesn't work out. A guaranteed way to have a much higher level of likelihood to be closer to the poverty scale is to have a child before wedlock. It ends up being a single parent household. 9.5 out of 10 times, you're 75% more likely to be at poverty level or below if you go around that route. So please do it in the appropriate order, and God bless whatever your order is. I'm not preaching there at all, just letting you know the facts about what those decisions can have as an impact on you. But as a parent, the couple things I would talk about doing in your early days is the first thing, when you have that baby, instead of, all the different gifts and doing a baby registry and all that, you need some of those things, but set up a 529 plan. And this is for saving for any type of education. It might be trade school. It might be welding. It might be truck driver school. It might be engine repair. It might be college. Might be a local college that's community college, 2 years, associate degree. It might be a 4-year. Might be an MBA. Might be a doctorate. Might be a PhD. You never know. Just make sure that when you do go to school or send your kids to school, they pick a degree that can pay the bills. So a 529 plan is a great start. That ensures that you're going to have some money to pay for this education, which continues to go up and up and up. The second thing I'm going to talk about are Roth IRAs for your kids. Setting them up, which I did not do. So I'm letting you know I did not do this part because I had some more expensive taste living outside my means, maybe even a little bit younger on. First relationship I had for a long time was a big person on showing how great things were going, and it was really important for me. Some good things happened 15 years ago that allow me to get back on the right path. But an IRA for your kids when they're young too. So what I'm talking about here too is it can be small amounts or smaller amounts. It doesn't have to be, I need to put $2,000 away a month so I can pay for college when I'm done. But the key is you got to be consistent. You got to put this stuff on autopilot. So $250 a month is what I did for both my kids. And I started those programs when they were about 6, 7 years old. And then I raised it as I went along. And then I fortunately had an income where I could pay, write some $1,000 checks here and there throughout every year to kind of fill in the blanks. But a $250 a month investment into either a Roth IRA or let's talk about the 529 for a minute, that's $54,000. If you start at birth and that's $3,000 a year and you do it for 18 years, that means you will have put $54,000 away over the 18 years of that child growing up. Now that's if you get no return on the investment. And see, a 529, you get to invest in funds just like a 401k or a retirement program. You can buy stocks, you can pick funds, etc. I will talk about what I would recommend, not being a financial planner on those types of investments in our life, in a moment. But that $54,000, if you get 8 to 10% growth or return on that, $54,000, like we have the market, any 5 years you look at for the existence from 1890 on, look at any 5-year run rate and it averages just at 10%. So this isn't wishful thinking. That $54,000 turns into well over $100,000. And that can certainly help pay the vast majority of a state school, which both my kids went to. I wouldn't send them to the Poison Ivies right now. I mean, the only value you get, I had lunch with my brother yesterday for his 74th birthday. We were out having a good time. And he goes, the only reason anybody sends their kids to Harvard is so that they can meet the parents of the other kids going to Harvard and hopefully score a Wall Street job because Daddy of Billy liked you enough to slide you an easy one. Other than that, the education has no extra value in my mind. First of all, you're way overpaying for the same thing. Degrees have come less in favor. Trade schools are a little bit more in favor. We need all those people, and those people are millionaires. My wife insures them, electricians and carpenters and trucking company people, et cetera, et cetera. But the value of the education, just make sure you do it right. But you can get $100,000 put away over 18 years by only investing 54. Well, that's 46,000 to the house if my math is right. And that $100,000 you don't spend all at once. So that continues to grow even through freshman, sophomore, junior year for their freshman year money coming out, and then so on for the next year and the next year. So maybe it's $115,000, $120,000 you get out of that $250 a month investment. Now talk about the Roth IRA for a second. Start with a few $100s a year and just do that for your kids. You can set it up. You can also set up UILs. You can look that up on your own. But to make investments so that the kids have a little nest egg when they're starting out, and then they kind of get the juices flowing. So put $1,000 a year away, $75 a month, $100 a month if you can for the kids. When you can, start. And when they get 18, they go off to school. Then they get out of school at 22, 23 years old. That's when you let them know about it. And you say, listen, been doing this for a while. Now you're taking over the investments. We're going to set up auto deposit, and you're going to keep it going. And by the time they're 60 years old, just because you threw $1,000 a year into it, way back when, they're worth well in excess of $1 million. They haven't even started their 401k. They haven't even started their Roth IRA. They haven't even started saving 529s for their own kids, your grandbabies. It's all about early and often, and let the market do the rest. Let the miracle of compounding interest do the rest. So that's my piece on the parental stuff. I wish you could take the Roth and turn it into a down payment on a house. You could. You'd have penalties. Don't do the big wedding. Hey, invite 50 of your closest people. Let's have a nice ceremony at the church, and then we'll have a backyard barbecue and cookout for those 50 people and have a grand old time for the wedding. It'll be the best thing ever. Don't be the person, unless you've got all sorts of burnable stuff, that drops $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a wedding. It's just simply egregious. It's mind-numbing to try to make the center of the tension that much for all these people that really don't care that much about you. They're coming for the open bar and hopefully a not overdone steak at the hotel ballroom, and it's just not worth it, in my opinion. Some people will thrash me that's not nice. This is all about the daughter. Hey, it's a party, man. That's all you're paying for. You don't need to drop 80 grand on it. So anyway, I digress. So let's talk about some of the basics as an individual. So as an individual, when you get the first job, the most important thing is to start your retirement investing. And what I mean by this is jump on that 401k or 503b if you're a nurse or in the medical field, at the minimum amount you have to put in to get the entire match that the employer provides. So when you look at this, I assume all of you listeners understand this, but it might say that we give a 50% match up to 6%. What that means is if you take 6% of your own check before taxes and put it in the 401k, they will give you 3% of your annual pay on top of it. Well, guess what? That's 50% return at time of investment for nothing. It's free money. You have to do this. The full match is free money. 6% isn't going to get it done for you in the long run. So what you do is you get your raise after year one, the merit increase, or a new job, a little more pay. Take half of the raise or the new comp that you've gotten from changing roles or whatever, and invest that on top of what you're already investing in your 401k until you tap out, or Roth. Now, the 401ks today, you can do a Roth 401k or you can do a traditional. If you max out, I think it's 22.5 or 23.5 this year is the max you can put into your 401k. Once that's done and you have extra money available, then start popping it into the Roth IRA, because you're going to need more than just the first 10% of your check plus the match. I promise you. Once you've hit that max on the 401k, incorporate a backdoor Roth becomes available then. or not available, a backdoor Roth is something that you can do as an individual to get into a Roth IRA if your income's higher than the than the maximum they allow you to participate with. But just start saving more. The net is 401k, get the match, max out what the federal government allows you to take pre-tax, and then start pumping into a Roth. Now, again, a financial planner may recommend do more in the Roth and don't maximize the 401k and use the money differently. That's what they're there for. The key is be pumping on all cylinders. That's what this is about. Take advantage of everything that's available to you to ensure you're getting as much free investment and as much time for the investment to grow. Again, Dr. L ain't no financial planner. I've been very, very fortunate, and I've been very, very diligent with my wife to amass a very nice number. We can turn the spigot off. We can shut down anytime we want. We can walk off, enjoy the rest of our life, never worry about money. And the only reason isn't because we don't make $1 million a year, even combined. We make far less than that. But I'll tell you what we do is we pay ourselves first. Now, if you're self-employed, and a minute ago I said that Jane Frazier from Sharf Para PLLC is coming on next week, and I've got an hour interview with her just around taxation and just how you should approach taxation as an individual, also a personal business owner. And if you listen to that, you'll get even more detail around this. But if you are self-employed or have your own business, go out and listen to the Dr. Leadership Lounge episode with Jane. But you can put up to $69,000 into your own investment account. Now, that does a lot of things for you. First of all, it's pre-tax. Second of all, it gives you a lot of benefits against what your income tax would be. It may take you out of a different bracket and save you even more money. So listen to that episode and pay close attention. There's a lot of vehicles there for you to be able to use to build wealth quickly. Now the question comes, okay, Dr. L, we got this thing on autopilot. We're investing regularly. What the hell do I buy? What do I invest in? See, what happens with investing, I think, a lot of times, is that people are intimidated by it. They are scared that I'm going to sound stupid, scared I'm going to lose money. You can. But if you go in for the long haul and you keep steady at it, it's very, very unlikely. So the first thing I would say about investing is this. Read a lot, get a financial planner, all that. But the first thing I would say as an individual, if you can't do those things yet, is don't try to time the market with your investments. Don't go, well, I'm going to wait for the market to go down and jump back in. Some people move money in and out in their 401k, can move it out of stocks and growth type investments and put it into money markets that are guaranteed or bonds. You don't want to be moving money in and out because you'll never time the market. By the time we got it figured out, there's computers that are handling all these trades now, millions of trades per second. You're never going to time it. The big boys, the big banks got that stuff figured out. They aren't going to let you and I, the little guys and gals, make a lot on that. Very seldom. Not many millionaires are made by timing the market. Other thing, don't go heavy into individual stocks, would not be my recommendation. I do own individual stocks, 10 or 12 of them. I own about 10 different funds in my non-401k investments. My wife and I have a very diligent approach in those funds. In the 401ks, we take a little bit different approach. But being diversified instead of individual stocks is really a big key. Get across several strong growth sectors, to spread the risk out. I'm talking healthcare. I'm talking technology. I'm talking energy. I'm talking the stalwarts of consumer goods. These types of things that we know are always going to be there. Everyone's always going to have a bank or a financial. Everyone's always going to have food. Everyone's always going to have the technology that's the latest thing. And these funds that focus to these different verticals or these different industry segments buy a bunch of stuff. So like right now, everybody goes, man, I wish I would have bought NVIDIA 3 years ago. It's up, 3,000%. And somebody got really wealthy on it. But if you've been investing in technology funds for the last 3 years, I promise you, you own some NVIDIA, and you've gotten the benefit of that. You also would own some Apple, some Alibaba, some Microsoft, right? all of these things, Cisco, et cetera, et cetera. These funds manage the money for you, people that do it all day, every day. So you don't have to have all the answers. You just got to have the cojones, the wherewithal to keep putting the money in. Think about when you're talking about not having too much money in one sector also, think about what are called derivative markets. So if oil is doing well, it's great. But if oil isn't doing well, typically some other things won't do well, or markets that derive from that base investment. Oil also creates all the plastics. Oil is very, very heavy in everything that is made of plastics. Resins, things of that nature. Oil is in an iPhone. Oil is in a lot of things. I'm giving just an example. I'm not saying don't invest in oil. I have shares in energy companies and done quite well, actually, for the last 10 years on those. It's been a very good sector for us. But be careful and just understand that if you go real heavy in oil, then maybe you don't want to be real heavy in fuel additive companies too that are using oil as well. Because if oil goes bad on one side of your portfolio, it's going to go bad on the other side. It's known as derivative markets. They derive from another resource or another type of company or investment. Just don't tie too much in. Again, it goes into diversification and balancing your risk. Now, a really good tool that I like that makes this the easy button, and this is from helping my daughters set their programs up and also my own, can be to pick, they have these date of retirement funds. And it's not that you have to pick a fund based on the exact date you're going to retire. It gives you ideas. So like today, it's 2024, there would be a fund that is called the 2030 fund. And that would be a mix of investments and managed to a mix of investments based on the risk factors for someone that's going to retire 6 years from now. Then there'd also be a 2040 fund and a 2050 fund and a 2060 fund. Well, I'll tell you this, if you're 23 years old, you've just come out of college today, you want to put it in the 2070 fund, as far out as you can go, 46 years from now, because that's about how long you're going to have to work. Maybe you go the 2060 fund, so everybody doesn't, have a psychological breakdown here that I got to work 40 years. Yeah, that's how this all works. But by doing this, the investment company, the fund managers, are the ones that are doing the due diligence and watching the stocks and adjusting the mix. You're very aggressive when you're young, and the closer you get to retirement, the less risk or some of the risk you start to peel off because you don't have as much time to make it back up if the market runs into a down couple years. These funds set that on autopilot. Just keep dumping at the 2070 fund this year, and we'll say 2060 fund. This year, next year, the next year, the next year, the next year, the next year. If you want to buy some international as well and you want to go into a growth, small cap or large cap, talk to an investment person. Read up. See what it's all about. Read the prospectus on all of these different items and see what gives you the greatest comfort. But again, early and often, and just know that there are ways so you don't have to have that fear of what should I invest in. These are great tools. Let them balance and manage the risk for you. If you don't use the date fund, remember this kind of guidance. The older you get, the less risky you want to be in your investment selections, especially after the age of, I would say, like 55, because you don't have as many years, as I said before, to recover if there's down moments in the market. If at 55 you're 100% in growth stocks and all of a sudden the S&P and the Dow and all these markets go down 10, 12, 14%, that could push your retirement from 60 if you're able to pull it off early to all of a sudden, man, we got to hold on 2-3 more years. Now I got to retire at 63 because I kept it all in higher risk. They used to say your age was the level of low risk. So if you're 25, you have 25 real low risk. Age of 26, 26% of your portfolio in low risk. 30%, 40%. You can see the older you get, the less percent you have on higher risk investments. I've always been riskier than that. I'm 56. I don't have 56% of my investments in low risk. I have about 15% of mine in lower risk. Again, not recommending that. I'm not a financial planner. I have the income capabilities, and if I need more time, I can. And quite frankly, there's enough there. If a 10% hit hits, I'm still going to hang it up when I hang it up. But do this to protect yourself, but be growth focused until you get older. Just pour it in early and often. $20 doesn't seem like a lot now, but that 20 you put in a day doubles 6 times between the age of 22 and 65. So every $20 is 20, 40, 80, 160, 320, 640 is $1,240. Every $20 you throw in this year, if you're 23 years old, is probably $1,240. Well, suddenly that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? What about when I'm closer to retirement? What do I do on investments then? The first thing I'd say, as soon as you hit 50, the federal government allows you to do catch-up, not as in the sauce that you put on your burgers, but catch, C-A-T-C-H, up, 401k investments. This year, I can do $7,500. So this is for all the people that weren't able to max the federal limit earlier on in age, so they're allowing you to get some more pre-tax investments done from the age of 50 on. $7,500 a year. Next year it'll be $8,000. The next year probably $8,750. The next year $9,000, etc. Take advantage of it because again it's pre-tax. Pre-tax advantages or tax advantages at withdrawal come from a 401k or a Roth in that order. So again, talk to a financial planner and make sure you're getting some professional fiduciary expertise. That's what we want to make sure you're doing. Now, the old rule of thumb for all of you out there around retirement is that you need a nest egg that if you only take 4% a withdrawal every year of that nest egg total, so if you got $1 million, if you take $40,000 every year out of it, and you keep that invested in a pretty safe set of investments, diversified, you'll never run out of money. That's the old saying, 4%. Don't run out of money is the key here. So you got to make sure you manage strong on the way up to ensure you got more than enough. There are lots of other tools to contemplate here other than just, I got to make 4%, or don't take any more than 4%. The first, let's talk about dividends for a second, because this is going to be an income generating approach for me for part of my portfolio when I do hang the stirrups up, right? When I quit riding the horse of business world. So income from dividends, and what dividends are is if you have a stock that a share costs you $100, and if they offer dividends, and you want to make sure these are qualified dividends. There's a very important word there, qualified, for tax reasons. I'll touch on it in a minute. If you have a company, ABC company, share price $100, every share will pay somewhere between 2 to about 8% dividends. That's kind of the market norm. A lot of them are in the 3.5 to kind of 5.5, 6%. Well, take part of your portfolio and buy a stock that gives you dividends. Because see, the $100 doesn't have to grow that the share price is for you to make your 4%. If you're getting 3% dividends off of it, you only need 1% growth. You just need the stock to go up to $101, $102 in the year to still stay even because you're getting the income off of the dividends. And if you don't need all the dividend money, it just reinvests and buys more shares of the same company. So make sure they're good, solid stocks. Make sure the dividends have been consistent for a long time and use it as a portion of your retirement income generating approach. Manage that nest egg to ensure any income that is created is coming through, again, qualified dividends or, listen to me, long-term capital gains. Do not buy and sell stocks. So what happens is if you get a stock and you invest in it, and in 8 months it goes up 40%, and you're like, woo-hoo, I'm cashing out. I think that's the top. You cash that out in your fund, not in your 401k fund. I'm talking a regular investment account fund here. Well, after you retired, if you're taking money out of it, it'll impact you here too. But if you do that, you're going to get taxed at a much higher rate than if you let it become a long-term capital gain, which is holding on to the product. I think it's a year. Some products might be 2 years, depending on if it's federally backed. But you understand this. The difference between long-term capital gains and short-term capital gains is almost doubling the tax hit to you. One of them's 25%. Approximately, there's some that are slightly lower, And then there is 10 to 15% on long-term capital gains. Well, 10% coming out in additional taxes every year is a big hit if you don't manage it well. So qualified dividends, and then make sure that you are tracking your tax liability through the trades you're making and how you're generating income. Again, financial planner. This drives your tax liabilities down, and that allows you to keep more of your money. You might look into whole life insurance as you're growing up and growing through your working years. My wife is a big believer in whole life and has been because she sells insurance, and it creates cash value. It also has a payout when you die to take care of your loved ones, your beneficiaries. $1 million death benefit. But then also, if it's a whole life and not term life means you just pay for it and all you get is the value on the face. If it's a $500,000 policy, you get $500,000 at death. A cash value, if you get $500,000, the premium's higher, but part of every premium goes into an investment account and they guarantee the return, typically 6, 7, 8%. So you're really investing another area to grow. Now, it's important to have life insurance or liquid assets held within a trust for when you pass away, so the courts don't hold up the distribution to your loved ones. That's the worst thing in the world. If you've got a lot of net worth, you've got a lot of value, the tax man comes, and I think it's either 9 or 6 months, you owe the payment. So if somebody leaves you, X amount of dollars and it's a taxable event, they're going to come at, now, right now, there's a lot of estate that you can leave because we've had good conservative leadership that have put these taxation things in line for estates, but they can change at any time. So just look into setting up an revocable trust, and living wills and power of attorney for finance and healthcare. It's going to cost you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, or use your company insurance offerings. Many times they offer insurance for legal things, and you can set up these things very simply. You don't have to have a lot of money to do it, but it ensures your family and your loved ones get the benefit right at time of death, a lot closer, so they can then have money to pay taxes and to handle the funeral and to pay for remodeling and cleaning out the house and to pay for whatever the expenses are when someone passes away. So you can do some life insurance. You can start there. You can set that trust up, make sure. Annuities might be an avenue for you too. And talk to your financial planner about that. That's where you buy something, an annuity from someone. You send them $100,000 and they say, all arbitrary numbers here, okay, we're going to give you 7% a year, $7,000 forevermore because you gave us this $100,000. And some of that's even able to be handed down to your loved ones and your beneficiaries afterwards. Many times it does stop at death. So you got to be careful on that. So again, talk to your financial planner. You have to be smart. You have to be diligent. You have to be aggressive as you invest. And then you got to be really smart once you start taking the money out. There's all sorts of rules and regs here. Find a good financial planner. Find a person that you build trust with, a long-standing relationship, and just read lots. That's what I would say. Work with that advisor. Ask a lot of questions. There's no dumb question. And if you stay on the consistent and the dedicated road, it's going to be awesome. Then you can keep that shit up in retirement, on the golf course, with your pool, on your boat, flying around the world on vacations, whatever you want to do. You'll be awesome. Keep it up. Talk next week.